Toyota has absolutely perfected and has been dominating the hybrid powertrain systems for at least the last 2 decades. And right now, most would say that they're leading the electrified trend because a lot of their popular high demand models are switching from non-hybrid to hybrid only or electrified only options. For example, the Toyota Camry is offered only in a hybrid powertrain system. The best selling minivan, highest demand minivan, the Toyota Sienna, is offered in a hybrid powertrain system only. The Toyota Crown Signia, the all new redesigned next gen 2026 Toyota RAV4 is offered in two options, both electrified. You've got an HEV, Toyota's fifth generation hybrid powertrain system, and you've got a sixth generation PHEV plug-in hybrid powertrain system, and more to come. So what does that mean for you as a consumer, customer, viewer, potential customer of a hybrid Toyota vehicle? It means you're going to probably want to have some more understanding of how the Toyota hybrid system works and what sets it apart from the other hybrid powertrain systems or platforms from other brands and other manufacturers. In this video, I'm going to tell you why the hybrid Toyota system is smarter and why it is the standard for electrification in the automotive world. And a little bit later on in this video, I'm going to actually share with you two of the worst things that you can do to your Toyota hybrid vehicle or for your Toyota hybrid vehicle that you're going to want to, stay away from and not do. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video. I'll get to that a little bit later on, but let's dive right into it. So I know it might sound complicated, but it's quite simple. In the Toyota hybrid powertrain systems, there is generally, unless you're talking about a EV, which would be, for example, the new 2026 CHR or the 2026 BZ, which we'll talk about that technology a little bit later on. But when you're talking about a PHEV or an HEV, those are hybrid powertrain systems, and PHEV plug-in hybrid powertrain systems, formerly known as the Toyota Prime vehicles, which we had on the Prius and the RAV4. They are now plug-in hybrids. So when you've got these kind of powertrain systems, essentially what you have is you have a regular gasoline combustion engine. You have three components. You have a high voltage battery that powers your hybrid electric motor. And where Toyota really shines is their ability to seamlessly combine or even separate these two power sources to be sources for horsepower, torque, and overall responsiveness when you're driving behind the wheel. And my friends, that is why when you drive a non-hybrid Toyota and then go in to drive a hybrid Toyota, you notice almost instantly that the responsiveness and overall acceleration and performance is highly improved and gives you a more satisfaction of a drive, better responsiveness, quicker off the line in the hybrid alternatives versus the non-hybrid Toyotas, because they've just perfected this craft of combining both the combustion power and the electric power to give you the best possible driving experience. Before I go over more details of the Toyota hybrid system and how it works and what sets it apart, if you guys want more detailed information, there's an ebook that you can get yourself in the description below. It's about 50 pages long and covers a whole bunch of information around the Toyota hybrid system in terms of performance, longevity, how to care for your Toyota hybrid vehicle, and more. So if you want more detailed info, check out that ebook, but let's get right back to it. Now, guys, don't let me just be the messenger. If you have a hybrid Toyota vehicle and you've previously had a non-hybrid Toyota vehicle, whether it's a RAV4, Toyota Tacoma, Toyota Highlander, please let me know in the comments below. Am I right about the responsiveness and the increase in torque and overall power on the hybrid Toyota versus the non? Let everybody know. Leave me a comment in the comment section. Next on the list, let's learn about one pedal driving. All right, so one pedal driving is a term and more of a driving technique coined by the off-make brands. When I say off-make brands, I mean non-Toyota manufacturers, and it has to do with the driving style of their electrified vehicles. And what it means is, well, in hybrid vehicles, there's no such thing as manual transmission, as far as I know. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section. For the most part, they're all automatic transmissions, which means you have two pedals. You've got a gas pedal and you've got a brake pedal. And the idea or technique behind one pedal driving is that for most of your drive, you just use that one pedal, the gas pedal, and you use that to drive, accelerate, and slow down, which means you're very rarely touching your brake pedal. So in one pedal driving, when you accelerate, you're pushing the pedal down, and then when you want to slow down, you lift the pedal up, and by doing that, it slows down your vehicle. It starts to brake and slow the vehicle down. You'll notice this more prominent in EV vehicles, for example, Teslas. Hybrid vehicles, maybe not so much so, but yes, it still does happen in certain manufacturers. So when you take your foot off the gas pedal, you're slowing down the vehicle, you're coasting, and that vehicle is using regenerative braking to send power back to your high voltage battery. Now, where Toyota sets it apart and raises the standard is that they have mastered how to use regenerative braking two ways. And they're probably the only manufacturer that has done this. So they use regenerative braking while coasting. So again, if you decide that you want a one pedal drive for most of your commute, you can have regenerative braking happen while you're not accelerating and while you're coasting. But Toyota has also mastered the technique of how to use regenerative braking while you're also using your brakes, while you're also braking. So you're sending power back to your high voltage battery two ways with a Toyota hybrid vehicle. One, by not accelerating, taking your foot off the pedal and coasting. Two, while actually braking to slow down or stop your vehicle. Now, overall, this is a subtle difference in driving style and driving habits, but it makes a huge difference and a huge impact. And if you thought that was cool and groundbreaking, there's even one more advancement that Toyota has on pretty much most of their late generation BEV or PHEV vehicles. For example, the 2026 Toyota BZ, and I believe the Toyota RAV4 2026 should have this feature as well as the CHR. It's called a regenerative brake boosting button, and it's usually towards the center of your console. And when you press this, it amplifies and boosts the amount of regenerative braking that takes place during your drive and during your commute. Now, this comes especially handy in certain driving conditions. For example, if you're driving downhill a lot or on a regular basis, or if you're frequently driving in stop and go traffic. All right, before I get to that part that, those two things you don't want to do or you want to try to avoid with your Toyota hybrid vehicle, let's talk about range anxiety, and what it really means for you. You see, the fact of the matter is, whether you have a full EV like a BZ, CHR, or a 2026 RAV4, or a plug-in hybrid RAV current generation, Prius, etc., the range on your electric system is specific to you, and it's not going to be black and white. It's not going to be exactly as you might think it, and the vehicle is actually learning as it goes along. Let me explain. See, your plug-in hybrid Toyota, whether it's a plug-in hybrid or a full EV, learns your driving habits over time, and it usually takes around 3,000 kilometers or miles, whichever state or country you're in, to have that vehicle actually learn and adapt to what your needs are as a driver, as a daily user of your hybrid Toyota vehicle. So, after about 3,000 kilometers or 3,000 miles, this is when your vehicle will be able to calculate and gauge your actual range that you have on a full charge or at a certain charge level. And that's because range isn't an exact science. It's based on many different factors. For example, the terrain you're driving on, the road conditions, the speed that you frequently use when you're driving, the weather, the overall environment, how heavy your foot is, and much more. I actually have one more tip having to do with the weather, I guess you can say, or temperature, which I'll get to in a second. But first, let's talk about the actual charging levels and what you should keep in mind when you're charging your plug-in hybrid or your Toyota EV. Now, with the current generation stuff from Toyota, for the most part, you can use a level 1 or a level 2 charger. We do have the capability to use DC fast charging or level 3 charging with our 6th generation Toyota electrified systems, but keep this in mind. Now, while you can safely charge up to 100% on your Toyota hybrid vehicle or semi electric hybrid Toyota vehicle, when you're using a level 3 fast charging system, it's recommended to really only charge up to around 80%. And really, for the most part, even when you're using a level 1 or level 2, it's also good to not always charge right up to 100%. That's right, it's best to sometimes keep a practice of stopping around the 80% charging level. Let me explain. You see, charging or keeping the battery at a charge level of around 80% overall is just healthier for the battery down the road and in the long run. And keep this fact in mind. The amount of time that it takes for your hybrid electric vehicle from Toyota to charge from 80% to 100% is usually going to be double the amount of time that it takes you to charge, for example, from 10 or 15% charge level up to 80%. So, in theory, it's just not efficient or it's not usually worth your time to get that 20% extra charge on your hybrid electric Toyota vehicle. Plus, that extra 20% over time, if you keep a regular practice of charging right up to 100% all the time, this can put strain on your battery. And overall, the cost to get that extra 20% charge and the time usually just isn't worth it. Look at it like this. You want to think of the battery charging levels in three different stages. So, for example, from 0 to 50% charge, that is your bulk charging stage. That is when the battery is easily able to absorb the power it's taking from the charge. So, you'll usually get from 0 or very low percentage to 50 without any issues or slowdowns, regardless of any other elements, which we'll talk about in a second. Now, the charging speed significantly slows down between 80% and 100%, which again is one of the reasons why we say, don't charge to 100% unless you really need that extra 20%. And it's best to just stay away when you can from charging up to 100% to prevent some heavy heat on that high voltage battery and degradation over time. Let's talk about the environmental effects of the battery, specifically temperature and how it might affect the overall performance or longevity. For example, Toyota has designed their EVs or PHEVs with battery health in mind. Let me explain. You see, Toyota EVs are built with the battery health in mind. For example, Toyota PHEV or full EV vehicles have a cap on how fast the charging speeds can be when charging your high voltage battery, which helps to extend the battery life and long term performance. And did you know that the optimal temperature for your electric or PHEV Toyota vehicle is 25 degrees Celsius? So anything higher than that or anything lower than that will affect two things: your range while you're using your electric Toyota vehicle and your charging time. Now, two things that I want to tell you: please try to stay away from doing these two things when you have a Toyota EV or plug in hybrid, regardless of what type of Toyota model we're talking about here. One of the worst things that you can do for any electrified Toyota vehicle, even the HEVs, but more specifically, something you've got to plug in is leaving your vehicle sitting for long periods of time and not being used. This is extremely bad for your electrified Toyota vehicle, and it's just not recommended to do. The second thing that will decrease your life overall of your electrified Toyota hybrid system is continuously charging it up to 100% and leaving it charged like that, sitting for long periods of time. You see, you would think that having the battery charged up to 100% is always good and is always needed, especially if your vehicle is sitting idle for a couple of days or a few weeks. Maybe you're going out traveling, or maybe you travel every month and the vehicle sits for 1 to 2 weeks. You would think, let me have this vehicle sitting with 100% charge so it's ready. Right when I get back, I can go ahead and I'm ready to go for whatever my day needs or for whatever my range has to be. But actually, keeping your vehicle sitting for long unused in a hybrid electric Toyota vehicle, first of all, is not recommended. Second of all, it's not recommended to do that while having a 100% level charge. These two things you want to stay away from to ensure longevity, performance of your Toyota electric vehicle. Like any other Toyota or any other vehicle, you've got to give it a break and you've got to let it breathe. Try to keep your battery life hovering for the most part, usually between 20 and 80% mark. Obviously, if you drive a far distance on a daily basis, you're going to want to have it hovering closer to 80%, but try not to keep it always at that 100% level. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this informative review of what sets the Toyota hybrid systems apart from the rest, and maybe you've learned something about how a Toyota hybrid vehicle works. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any further questions in the comments, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.